Shooting cohesive is the start of keeping a through line and consistency in your images and in your brand. But you can also take that cohesion and look at that in your editing, and it really goes a long way as far as how you become recognizable and what stands out to you. And one of those things is consistently doing the same things every time in your photos. And I know that I say this a lot, but I really mean it. And so you really want to see, you want to find yourself doing the same things in every photo. So if I know that every time I edit a photo, I'm going to move this slider up to warm up the image, then I should do that just about every time, give or take setting adjustments. I have my Do Me First preset that always bumps up my clarity. In a landscape like this, where color is important, I will increase the vibrance or saturation a little, just because you can get away with that in a landscape. I know that I go to tone curve every time, and I adjust my lights to give that little pop right there. I just love that look. I often do not mess with the HSL color panel unless I really need to make a color adjustment. If I'm in a green scenario and the greens are too green, or I need more blue, or it's too orangey, or whatever the case may be, I do often adjust my split toning, and this is another form of consistency in keeping your colors very similar. So you can really change the way that the sunset looks here. But again, I really want to keep it very true to the scene, because everybody I was there with saw this too, and they will remember what it looked like. And I just want my photo to be an enhancement of what we all saw together, and not something so strange and crazy that they can't recognize it when they see the photo. So I go through my first round here, and this is everything I would do at first glance of editing. And then I'm going to go back through again, and I'm going to make further adjustments. And here I'm going to add just a gradation filter vignette to kind of darken this blurred section, so your eye is really drawn up to the sky here. That's actually a little darker than I'd like. Do a little dehaze. That helps lighten it and give a nice soft look. And then sometimes I'll also go, if I want to save some information or detail in the sky like this. This is how I would save that. Drop the exposure a little bit. And boost your saturation so you can see the detail. Here, texture, you can adjust these more. You want to be careful so that you're not really making it like, as pretty as that is, that's just not realistic. That's not how it looked, and anybody who was there would know that. So I'm going to bring that back down, keep it at a realistic level, just so it's like, wow, that's a beautiful, realistic version of what we all saw together. And then I will often hit Command-C or Control-C and copy these settings so that I can then go to my next image. And even though this is very different, I'm going to hit Command or Control-V. Now, obviously, that does not work in this photo, but that doesn't mean I don't want to keep a level of cohesion from one photo to the next. So I'm going to go back to thinking, what does this really look like, and how can I enhance it and bring out the best in this photo? And so this one is going to pose a challenge. It really is, because the highlights are a little blown, so we can assume that I was maybe taken aback and not quite so prepared for this photo, and that was the case. I was actually shooting the groom over to the left, and I looked over and she looked so pretty, and I just snapped the photo really quick, so I was not prepared to adjust my settings, but it's worth keeping. So I'm going to go through all my normal adjustments, and I'm going to work at finding a level of cohesiveness from the previous photo, even being a landscape. Yeah, absolutely keep that cohesive. You still want to, especially giving this gallery to one couple, I want them to look at this and be like, okay, these all make sense. This isn't, 3 different photographers sending me photos. This is one, and they're beautiful, and that's what I want. So you can see the adjustments here in the highlights. Very, very pink in the shadows, more green in the highlights because of where I have the selector tool there. And it's really just based on your personal preference, what looks good to you. That's fine. I think I will adjust a full vignette here, just a little. And then I'll go back to the gradation tool here and add even more. Oop, that copied that from the copy and paste. I should unselect that. You can just hit escape or delete, and that'll take away if you have that selected for your copy and paste tool. I don't recommend that you do that, by the way. That's not helpful at all. Spot corrections are not something you want to copy and paste from photo to photo. So I will even come in here into tone curve and see what else I can adjust to make this look a little bit better. Oops. I'm just going to go through and play with, oh, I love the depth in that background, but not so much in her eyes. So I'm going to be careful with this. And that's always what you want to keep in mind, is how is it making it look overall? How does it affect the whole photo, not just one part, or, you know, it looks good just to you, but anybody else who sees it would be like, whoa, what are we looking at? There we go. Now I could go through this and mess with it even more, but I'm going to leave it here. And I'm going to Command-C and copy the settings again and paste it to this third photo. Again, really doesn't work here, but that's the idea. That's how we're going to learn to keep a cohesive look every time, even if we have to adjust settings more than just the one time. Now, some photos are so similar in setting, not necessarily the exact same photo or whatever, but they're so similar that you can just copy and paste and make even smaller adjustments and you're totally fine. And other photos, they need more correction, so it really just depends on the image and how different the scene is from one to the next. So I, of course, can continue editing these until my eyes fall out, but I'm going to leave this here, and I want you guys to kind of practice a little bit with what this looks like, and how to create some cohesion in your photos. So if you see, I hit G on my keyboard. That takes you to library. It's grid mode, and so you can see here, all in a grid, what do they look like, and how can I further enhance them to look more similar, a little more cohesive if I had them in a grid, like on Instagram or social media. How can I further enhance the cohesive style? Now, if you're going through this and you see that and you're just like, man, they do not fit together, don't edit it so much that you ruin your singular image, because by itself you still want that to be beautiful. If it works cohesively, fantastic, but if not, it's not worth fighting over either, and maybe they just don't work together. So keep that in mind as you go through and you edit your photos, and just keep practicing and shooting and then editing, and if one doesn't work, practice a little more with one than the other, and go from there.